Hey everybody, how's it going? Josh here, and today we're going to talk about Star Wars. Now, a big thing in the Star Wars fandom that really divides everybody and or brings them together to argue is Rey. Now, a lot of people don't like Rey, a lot of people don't care about Rey, and a lot of people like Rey. But there seems to be a lot of gray around those areas, and it fluctuates depending on the depiction between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. And what I mean by that is, during The Force Awakens, there was a lot of moments that people thought Rey would be revealed to be secretly a Skywalker. Specifically, a lot of people thought she'd be Luke Skywalker's long-lost daughter or something along the lines of that. But Kylo Ren's comments kind of say that's not going to be true, and basically that Rey is a nobody. And it's kind of weird because The Last Jedi kind of hinted that maybe Rey is simply just a byproduct of the Force feeling like it needs a counterbalance for Kylo Ren as he becomes more, inclined and more, matured within the dark side. But at the same time, that could have just all been BS from Kylo Ren, thus making it possible that they could be, brother-sister maybe, even though a lot of people want them to be in a relationship, which of course that'd be kind of awkward in that situation. But if Rey is to be a Skywalker, there's a lot that can go for that. And what I mean by that is, as soon as Star Wars ever first came into existence, during A New Hope, Episode 4, all that good stuff, we had Luke Skywalker, and the story was always about Luke Skywalker, and then by proxy, eventually became about Anakin Skywalker, and then by proxy even more, it just kept further developing, and it basically became the story of the Skywalkers. And George Lucas has even commented saying that basically Star Wars more or less is the story of the Skywalker family. So that's why a lot of people have always been thinking that Rey, besides Kylo, would become a Skywalker, because that just seems like a natural fit for the main Star Wars films, considering almost every TV show we've gotten most of the time, every movie of course, besides some of the spin-offs of recent late, a lot of the games, they've always heavily, the books for sure, have always heavily been influenced by and featured a Skywalker family member. So the fact that we'd get a new trilogy that has nothing to do with the Skywalkers, even though everything hints towards a relationship with the Skywalkers, just seems kind of off to people. For example, the way Rey reacted to having Anakin's original lightsaber. When she grabbed the lightsaber, she had all those flashbacks and things like that. A lot of people thought that was an indication she would be a Skywalker. And obviously when she first formed a connection with Kylo, a lot of people thought that might have been possible because Snoke was taking advantage of a potential relationship between the two, such as a sibling relationship akin to how Luke and Leia could kind of feel what the other was feeling and things like that. However, at the same time, even with all these things, a lot of people don't want Rey to be a Skywalker, they don't like Rey to be a Skywalker, they don't like the idea of Rey in general, which I'm not going to get into in this kind of video just because I feel like that's a very toxic type of topic to get into, especially with the fan base. I'd rather talk about something a little bit more binary, such as should not kind of thing, to kind of just be more clean about it. But getting on to why Rey maybe shouldn't be a Skywalker, the first and foremost reason is that it seems apparent the Star Wars franchise, Lucasfilm, the way they want to go in the future is further and further from the Skywalkers. It seems like they just want to tell different types of stories, which inherently there is nothing wrong with. We got Solo, for example, we got Rogue One, and presumably we're going to get a new trilogy of totally separated from the Skywalker type Star Wars movies that Rian Johnson was going to make, and potentially is still making. We just haven't got any updates recently about it. But at the same time, we're getting The Mandalorian by Jon Favreau, so it definitely seems that Star Wars is truly trying to make an expanded universe outside of just the Skywalkers. And having a character such as Rey, I guess you could argue, could be a good way of kind of getting to that, I guess you could say. You could use Rey as a vehicle to further expanding the universe and basically saying, look, we can have focal characters, powerful characters, whatever, outside of the Skywalkers, and Rey is a good example of that. However, I would counter that by kind of saying, you do have a lot of really good stories outside of the Skywalkers, such as adapting a form of the Knights of the Old Republic. Darth Revan's a great character as well. There's tons of Sith and Jedi mythology from the Star Wars books that you could always adapt that don't have anything to do with the Skywalkers. But I can see how maybe in their eyes they think Rey is maybe a prime vehicle, a prime vessel for furthering that, especially because she's a really popular character due to the fact that she's basically the lead character of this new Star Wars trilogy. But again, I asked the question, should she be a Skywalker? I think honestly, no. just because I feel like the fan base would react really harshly to her being a Skywalker, but at the same time, I feel like it's inevitable, because we know J.J. Abrams is huge on fan service, and J.J. Abrams, I think, was strongly hinting that Rey was a Skywalker throughout The Force Awakens. I mean, if you look at, like I said before, the things with Anakin's lightsaber, the connection she seemingly had with not only the Force, but Kylo Ren from the get-go. Also, there's a lot of parallels, of course, between The Force Awakens and the original Star Wars trilogy, specifically The New Hope. So it did really seem like J.J. Abrams was ready and primed to not only do something potentially like Snoke being Darth Plagueis, but also at the same time, Rey being the secret sibling of either Kylo Ren or maybe the secret child of Luke Skywalker, which definitely would have been an interesting twist, because we know there are literally Star Wars characters from the expanded universe that Kylo Ren and Rey are loosely based off of, and both of them have connections to the Star Wars mythos, specifically the Skywalker mythos, because of their lineage. So definitely would be a really interesting thing to see in the Star Wars universe, her being revealed as a Skywalker, except for Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi had kind of done a few things, which between sexual tension between Kylo and Rey, and also Kylo's comments about Rey, and kind of how they were expanding on the Star Wars mythology by basically saying the Force can more or less make its own chosen one as it so deems, which is kind of controversial. But comment below your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think about this? Should Rey be a Skywalker? Should she not be a Skywalker? What would your reactions be if she's revealed to be either a Skywalker or not? Let us know down below, and hopefully we get some clean comments and not a lot of infighting amongst the fan base. But yeah, we'll see you guys later.